All righty, I believe we are almost up and running. Let me just get this other part of the show sorted out now. Here we go. And I believe we are now up and running via the usual multi-platforms. That's fine. And let's go now to Galaxy. I believe we're now fully transmitting. I'm sorry about that, listeners. Slight technical matter. The wonders of updates, apparently. It wanted to do an update at a time which was most inconvenient. But anyway, this is the Motivator Show, where we translate our words into action. And in no time would we ever be stopped. Okay, so there you are. Now then, let's get this show properly underway. And the first part, of course, I gave recognition to the Galaxy management, recognizing their achievements. I gave recognition to our health and the vital need for us to maintain healthy lifestyles. And of course, I also gave recognition to our girl genius of 8 years old to win the worldwide achievement. She's now recognized as the most capable mathematician in her year group. That's Michelle, and she now is in possession of her greatest heart desire, an electric scooter. And I've seen her riding her scooter, the pleasure, the love that she feels for her mother, her parents, is enormous, because all she wanted was a replacement scooter. She may be a math genius, but that is what really gave her the pleasure for life. So, Michelle, if you're listening, phrase B, love your parents. That's what I say to you. Listen to your parents, because they will be your greatest guardians. They will give you the guidance you need. But anyway, today's program, as we now are able, now we've got over our technical hiccups, and I do apologize to you all, is really an important one. The 9th in the series of programs that I've conducted whilst I've been doing these programs. And my guest is my most frequent visitor, an international journalist, I believe, who has very few peers. In my view, her articles on the life and times and experience of what it is like to live inside Nigeria is honesty is profound, so profound. I know there are some who may find it a very difficult conversation to have. Okay? But I know many, many, many Nigerians who are somewhat coy in expressing their views about the experience of life in Nigeria and what they know they need to do to improve life in Nigeria. Okay. Well, that's okay. That's okay. There are a few who are willing to speak out, who are willing to speak about the past, the present, and envisage a future, a better future for Nigeria, in whatever form that future takes. Okay. And such people are the people I want to speak to. But as is usually the case in our community, at least on the surface at the very least, it is the women who decide and determine the pace of change. Okay. Which is why this year, primarily, it is women who have been my guest. So it's now almost time to begin this interview. And those of you who are viewing the program via YouTube or Facebook will see the theme is obvious. NINAS, Nigerian Indigenous Nationalities Alliance for Self-Determination. Okay. One with founder members is, of course, our most regular visitor here, Ndidi Uwicha. I always get your surname muddled. But anyway, you're correctly right. Are you there, Didi? Are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Good morning,
wonderful.
England. Good morning.
Good. Keep talking. Keep talking. I'll get the sound level.
Okay.
How are you today?
Yes, I'm very good. I'm okay. I'm in Abuja, in Nigeria. It may be a bit dull. I can't see my face. I just see a black blob. Sorry, guys, but it's where I've positioned myself to have a bit of network.
Aha. I was going to say, what it is, but the light is not face up. There you are. We can see you better now. There you are.
Okay. Yeah, if I move an angle, perhaps I may have to get a lamp. Okay. Some kind of a lamp. But anyway.
Yeah, get a lamp. Yeah, that might be better.
Okay, give me a second.
I'll keep talking once you do that. I'll keep talking. So now Nigeria, the most populous of African countries, my ancestral homeland. Okay. It's therefore a country that we all should pay particular attention to. Nigeria, I believe, the 5th or 6th largest oil exporter in the world. Nigeria, the most populous country on the continent of Africa. Nigeria, where there are literally thousands of ethnic groups, yeah, and numerous languages spoken. Nigeria, in my view, in so many ways, it's a jewel of Africa, notwithstanding, of course, other African countries. Oh, God, I know I get myself into so many troubles, and I know Ghanaians are listening here, and they are particularly sensitive to such statements, okay? But Nigeria, its economic potential is still yet to be charted, because it's way off the chart. But it's the people need to realize the importance of unity. And I'm going to say deliberately, great Nigeria. Okay. But as I read in Didi's articles, increasingly, the challenge of the realities of Nigeria is apparent. And she has written so many really thoughtful, insightful articles. Anyway, I'm going to get onto those articles soon, but Ndidi, can you still hear us?
I can hear everything. Thank you very much.
Wonderful. How are you today?
Yes, we're all right. We're in Nigeria. So, you know, with all that means, but we're all right.
And I want to, if I may, Ndidi, and I'll get straight into this, I'm just conscious of our time. Okay. Can you just explain to the audience what does NINAS stand for and why does NINAS exist?
All right. What I'm going to say is to start off with, because I've been here, I think 4 or 5 times or so. And my conversations are for a certain type of human being. If you're 25, you're 35, you're 45, you're 55, you're 65, and you can't reason, it's not for you, all right? So the things that I say are for those who are able to reason. You know, you take information and you can apply different information from different sources. And I'll just quickly say my background. I'm Black British. I'm not born in Africa. I've lived about 10 years in France and the rest many decades in England. I'm a retired Metropolitan Police officer. My boroughs were mostly Greenwich, but I spent some time in Lambeth as well. So after retiring, because my mom became a widow, because my dad died, of course, you know, so I thought, let me come to Nigeria to keep an eye on my mother. And I set up a farm. My farm was destroyed by a group that they call Fulani herdsmen. We've now come to see that they call them now Fulani militia because they're armed. Anyway, whatever, my farm was destroyed. And for 2 years, I was running around wondering what the hell is going on. Because as you guys know in England, if anybody trespasses on a farm, it's a big thing. Talk less of setting the farm on fire, cutting down, you know, the plants, destroying the well, etc., and the little structures we had. Anyway, that's when I did some research because I was an investigator in CID for quite a few years, the different units in CID, whether domestic violence, main office, big crimes, whatever, but I was an investigator. So I began to look into it and I came across a group called Lower Niger Congress that was part of NINAS that showed me that Nigeria has no constitution because the constitution they are using is a forgery. Now, you guys know in England what it's like. If you're driving and you have a motor vehicle insurance certificate that's a forgery, it means you do not have a motor vehicle insurance certificate at all because it's a forgery. And we, the police, we're going to deal with you. And I used to deal with that when I was a junior police officer. So that's the situation Nigeria is in. So as I said, this is for people who can reason, who understand that if a document is a forgery, it means you have no document. People who can understand that. Some people are not able to, and then they're still, living in la la land.
Can I just ask you, Ndidi, when you say a forgery, I think you might want to unpack what you mean by a forgery, because we know what forgery means, to fake something.
Make believe. It's a make believe. Okay. It's a forgery because there's a preamble in a constitution, and that's kind of like the introduction. And the preamble sets the tone for the constitution. Anybody can go look it up on the internet, and it's easy to find because it's at the very start. The preamble says that we, the people of Nigeria, came together to discuss this union that we see. We never did. That's line number 2. Then the preamble then said that we, the people of Nigeria, then also came together to write that document they call a constitution. We never did. Those are 2 major lies. And when they say we, the people of Nigeria, I'll say what Nigeria is like, and that's how other African countries would be. You have indigenous ethnic nations, people who would have found some land, their ancestors wandered around and then they were the first people to settle somewhere. And so we form nations. So you've got the Igbo nation, Tiv nation, Yoruba nation, Ijaw, things like that. So the ethnic nations have existed since a long, hundreds, if not thousands of years. Then a country is a political union. When those ethnic nations say, oh, you know what? I think we'll do better in every way if we came together and formed the country, like a marriage. A man may be single, and then he thinks he'll have a better life if he forms a union with a certain woman. Okay, so it's that kind of thing. So that's what Nigeria is. So it's a union of different ethnic nations. So what happened is that union was kind of born dead already, but at least it was agreed in 1960. So in 1960, when the British were leaving, my parents' generation agreed, we're going to keep to these boundaries. We didn't have to when the British left, because it was the British that cobbled us together. We could have said to the British, no, you guys get lost, and this country can also get lost. We didn't say that. We said, okay, although the British put us together, we will stay together under certain conditions. And at that time, we had 3 regions, and the regions could be countries in their own terms, in their own way. But those 3 regions were functioning like 3 separate countries, sort of. And then they had some talks in England, in Lancaster House, to say, okay, look, we want to form this union. We want to remain in this union called Nigeria. How is it going to be? So they set some conditions down at Lancaster House. So those 3 regions already each had their regional constitutions. When they agreed to form the union called Nigeria, they now created a 4th constitution, the federating constitution.
Right, okay.
So that's Nigeria. Then in 1963, one of the regions, the Western region, a certain area formed another state, another region. So you now had 4 regions, each with their regional constitution, with one extra constitution, the federating one. That was in 1963. Then in 1966, the military came in. And when the military came in, that ended the marriage. It ended the union, because that military coup, the 2 military coups in January and July, terminated Nigeria. So Nigeria ended. What should have happened is now the ethnic nations should have said, do we want to be in this kind of union, blah, 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 but it never happened. The military, by force of arms, then kept us together and began to rule by military decrees. And it's important that I said military decrees, because the 1999 Constitution, so-called, is Military Decree 24. I've actually written an article recently this year about it. Yes. And the man who gave it to us is a military man, Abdusalami Abubakar, when he was leaving. And he, by mistake, it's good for us. He actually said, that this is Military Decree 24, and the Constitution is a schedule of that Military Decree 24, schedule, see it like a chapter. It's there with his name. I think it was the 5th of May, 1999, but it was a date in May, 1999. So it is a forgery. The man who gave it to us said so. We know we never came together to agree this union that we see, and we never wrote that Constitution. Now, the union that we see is very different from the union that ended in 1966. That one in 1966 had a parliamentary system, and it had 4 regions. And we had autonomy, self-determination. This one you see that somebody else created. It's got 36 states. None of the states have a constitution, and they're each supposed to have their own constitutions. They don't. 36 states, a presidential system, 68 items exclusive list, which means no resource control. We cannot defend ourselves from any invaders, all sorts of things, okay? We can't have electricity. I happen to have electricity right now, but it can go anytime, then I'll have to use my solar. So this Nigeria we see is not the one of 1966. And that's, I can stop now if you have another question.
No, that's fine. And thank you. It's always necessary each time we have these programs for you to recite that history. And that history, if those of you are in doubt, is verifiable. Okay, I've verified this many a times. Every word uttered by Ndidi is correct. Okay, there is irrefutable fact. Okay, there's a curiosity I've found each time I look at the military rule and during its period. Typically, in these situations, in order for such a change in a country's constitution to be valid, not only would it have to be accepted by the people, it would have to be accepted by the United Nations. But clearly, if the people did not come together, do you have any idea why the United Nations would have accepted this? Well, it is simply a decree and would only be valid if the people accept it. So therefore, if the first few lines are that we, the people, came together and that was not valid, why would the United Nations accept this constitution? Have you any idea, Ndidi?
Okay, what it is this, is I can only proffer some opinions. And there's a man, his name is Dele Ogun. He's a lawyer. He's actually based in London. And earlier on this month, he gave a video. And in the video, a young chap, also in England, but with Nigerian heritage, asked him, where does he think that the problems of Nigeria started? And the young man thought he's going to say the annulled elections of 1993, when a man called Abiola had won and the military annulled it. No, Dele Ogun said no. He said that in 1999, there was a group called, was it Pernaco? I think it was, yeah, a group called Pernaco. And they had come to a consensus that there would be no elections unless the people see the Constitution, because that 1999 Constitution had not been seen. And everybody had agreed, but those in power at the time, the military, they managed to convince, some people have no principles. They agreed to do the right thing. Then all you have to do is promise them money or a position, and now they will leave. So those wretched ones then said, okay, they got promised positions and some of them became governors if they now take the people into elections, even though there was no constitution really. So that's the kind of thing that's been happening. And a lot of Nigerians are ignorant. And I say that with respect, because some of them, they are struggling. Imagine they are living with Stone Age environment, no electricity, no water on tap. You go to the schools. I've seen some of the schools in my village. I wouldn't even put a pig in there. So one primary school that I saw in my village, no electricity, no toilets. Where are your children going to urinate and defecate? No toilets, no electricity, no library. Even the classrooms that I went to, the roofing had holes. So if it was the rainy season, the rain would be pouring into the classroom. So in this kind of environment, who is going to learn anything?
This is why,
libraries,
if I may, Ndidi, this is why I'd like to have you here. Because you are describing what I know to be facts, okay? But there are far too many Nigerians who will say, oh no, we've got some really rich areas of Nigeria, where the rich live and they live, very modern lifestyles. Neglecting to say, of course, the other 98% of the population live in a lifestyle that is akin to a country without any natural resources, any source of wealth, okay? And therein lies the problem, okay? So if I may just, I want to refer to your articles in a moment, but I want you to get into the psyche of the people right now, okay? Whilst the people's in denial, particularly when they come over to this country, in Britain and others, okay, and they don't talk about their homeland in its truest form, okay, and we over here gain a false impression of the country, okay. So I want to get into the psyche. Why would people, recognizing that Nigeria is the 5th largest oil exporter in the world, with millions upon millions of pounds, billions and billions of pounds or dollars in oil revenue, okay? And they can see that the rich are incredibly rich and the poor are incredibly poor. Tell us about the mindset of the people that live in an environment of that kind, where the difference between the rich and poor is so vast, okay, and politics is so corrupted by money. Give us some idea of the mindset of the people and why NINAS, in its very existence, is an amazing entity. Just give us some idea of the mindset of people.
Okay, because the poor are struggling and they don't have access to information. And okay, even me, sometimes I'm living in an estate where the middle class and the elite are living. Sometimes they'll take the water. There'll be no water. Yeah. And no warning, and you'll have no water. So all the things I had planned to do, I now have to let it go and start running around looking for water, if you see what I mean. I now have containers to keep some water. But what I'm trying to say is, so this is the life that people have, and that's the poor. So the poor are struggling. Now we're talking about those who would have some money. How did Nigerians make their money? A lot of it is through theft. It'll go on the Theft Act in the UK. So the people in Nigeria who make the money, civil servants are more corrupt than the politicians. Wow. I never knew this until I came to Nigeria. In England, I'm thinking politicians. You come to Nigeria, the civil servants. I'll give you an example. I'm staying in a small flat that was owned by a civil servant. I saw her, and she's driving around 2 big cars. I don't have a car in Nigeria, but anyway, she's driving 2 big cars. So when I took the place, I have my solar, but my solar is only 1,000 watts, so 1 kilowatt. So it doesn't carry some heavy things, yeah? So anyway, so I still have to use electricity. Lo and behold, she's bypassing the meter. I had to pay her bill of about 1.5 years. There she is driving 2 big cars, civil servant,
Hold
acting
on,
like
hold
a
on,
big
Lily.
madame.
Hold on. You're saying that the person who lived there, the civil servant,
Yes,
bypassed the
bypass the meter.
Oh my God.
And the meter, I'm giving this as a personal example. It's 2 people are in this compound. It's me, that civil servant, and another
Don't
one.
give too much information about your home where you're living there.
Okay. Or yes, but nobody knows the address. But but it's the crime. So the other civil servant, both of them were bypassing the meter. So I had to pay the excess that was on it. Yeah, me, Black British, I've got nothing to do with all of this. I'm paying it because I need the electricity from my big equipment, like my washing machine and things like that, and the water heater. Anyway, so because I stayed on for the next year, I subtracted what I had paid from my rent.
Okay.
If I wasn't going to stay for another year, I would now have paid the electricity of the civil servant. Now, I then went on, there I am complaining to some people. And some young people then told me, oh, that this is what a lot of people do. And the civil servants are a key source of the corruption in Nigeria, especially the managerial level. So what they do is that, let's say the money for the agency or ministry, so they'll say something like, we're doing training. So they'll say that they train, let's say 500 girls, or widows or whatever. Meanwhile, they trained 0 people.
Oh, wow.
They will make up names, and all of them, like a gang of robbers, will all agree. Not a single one will say, hey, this is bad. They will all agree, and then the money for the training, they will share out. So, and I'm saying this for a reason. I know some other civil servants, they've got land all over Abuja, because Abuja is a federal capital territory, and anybody, in theory, can apply and you get some land given to you. You don't know where it'll be given to you, but some land will be given to you at a very reduced rate. So the civil servants, they all know each other from the different ministries. So they give themselves loads and loads of land so that the poor have no access to any of this. So it's that kind of person who now comes to England. They've ruined Nigeria, these civil servants and politicians, plus also the cronies of the civil servant of both of them, because you've got all these consultants, who say they've done this and that, inflating the money. So they're all taking the public money. And it is that lot whose children will be in the boarding schools in England. And after the boarding school, they'll start doing all sorts of degrees. That's why you're going to find Nigerians doing masters and PhD and all sorts, to give them a reason to be abroad. It's not that they love schooling so much. It's so that they can get that visa to stay in England or Canada or America. And so after a while, they'll get immigration lawyer to give them residency or British citizenship. You can actually buy British and American citizenship if you invest a certain amount of money. So from the public money they've looted, they can now be in England. So you've got a big proportion of the children or the spouses of the corrupt. Then you will have a proportion who would be people who may well have been more honest, who got a scholarship to come to England, or, they managed to get themselves somehow, because things were easy. I think it was Mrs. Thatcher who made it hard. I can't remember, because, I didn't really need to know too much about these things because it didn't really affect me. But there was a time in the 70s, 80s or so when it was easier for Nigerians to come to England because of the Commonwealth. So a lot of them made use of that. And then you can bring your dependents in, and things like that. So that may be why some of the Nigerians are, who you see in England, may be pretending that it's all hunky-dory. But if it was hunky-dory, they'd be in Nigeria. It's because they are from the criminal class themselves.
Okay, hold on a second. I don't want to, if just, as you know, there's a certain amount of diplomacy involved here. We're not saying that all Nigerians in this country, in Britain, are from the criminal classes, or indeed from the civil service. What you're describing are a group of people who may have sent their children to Britain or other places for education. Okay, I know many Nigerians who are relatively, on very modest incomes and have very modest lifestyles in Nigeria. I know many. And those who are very wealthy, they tend not to talk a great deal about their wealth. So you can tell the difference between one or the other. But I understand the general description you applied. And I think most people can appreciate that. And Nigerians who are listening should not therefore be offended. Okay. But if you are offended and you are contesting some of the evidence that's being placed before us by Ndidi, I'd welcome hearing from you all. Because the whole purpose of these programs is to enlighten, to de-brainwash. Okay? Nigeria is the 5th largest oil exporter in the world, but yet it cannot guarantee 24 hours electricity to its citizens. Nigeria is the 5th largest oil exporter in the world. It cannot guarantee clean water, sanitation to all of its citizens. There's something fundamentally wrong there. Okay, and I note the bulk of the monies owned by Nigerians is not in Nigeria. It's in Europe or the Americas or in Japan.
Canada.
That's crazy, completely crazy. And if I've got it wrong, I mean, Didi's got it wrong, I welcome a few calls or two. Okay, let's put the record straight or right, as you may say. Okay, let's put it right. Okay, but I'd really be interested to hear those who are aware of the country, have lived there, know it intimately, and are contesting some of the evidence that's been put forward, which I've verified many times, you know, and even at times Didi is very direct, you know, I have to be less so direct, and that Didi will be appreciated. Okay, but the truth is the truth is the truth. It's irrefutable facts, actually. So if you are wanting to engage in this conversation, I'll open up the phone lines a little earlier than usual because we had some technical problems earlier on, but it will be interesting because there's some, I want to get on to Ndidi's articles, really, really powerful articles, which I recommend those who are listening, pass on Ndidi's name to your friends and your neighbors, to your associates. Please, the articles are second to none. So if you've got a question or thought to share with us, please feel free to call 0208 133 5616. I repeat, if you're in England, you call 0208 133 5616. Okay, but if you're overseas, you of course take off the 0 is plus 44. Okay, if you're overseas. Okay, so I'd be very keen to hear from you. But indeed, let's talk about your articles. It's a really interesting articles, and let's talk about the Smart African article. Okay. What a powerful read that was. In fact, I think we may have a call on the line, and then we'll go to that article. But I found that to be a truly, did I laugh? Wow. Great, you put some fire under them butter, me. I tell you. Anyway, let me just go to this caller. Caller with number ending 865. Good morning to you. I know you've been trying for a few times. Good morning. Oh, have I lost that caller? Oh, there we go. All right. Caller, can you hear us?
Loud and clear.
Is this Brother Kwame?
Speaking.
Good morning, Brother Kwame. Do you want to engage with Ndidi on what she described about the history of Nigeria thus far?
Well, indeed, I think she's absolutely right because there are same issues in Ghana. I mean, like you say, it's criminal that Nigeria being the 5th, the biggest oil producer in Africa, doesn't have lights 24/7. Right, it's criminal that Nigeria, the second, I think it's the largest economy in Africa, can't pay its public sector workers. Which is why they say Nigeria. Nigeria, the biggest oil producer in Africa, has issues with hasn't got an oil refinery. Can you believe that? The biggest oil producer in Africa doesn't have an oil refinery.
So Brother Kwame, I believe that the Dendoti brothers are building a oil refinery right now. If if it hasn't been completed, it's likely to be completed imminently. Okay.
Right.
So, yeah.
But,
so it will. Yeah. Go ahead. Yeah.
Right. But Ghana, that has only produced oil last 10 years. Had the oil farming in the 60s. So it tells you that how Nigeria has gone backwards. That all the oil that it's had over the last 60 years hasn't been refined in Nigeria. Has to go out and come back. And also added to that, and I think indeed you will bear witness to this, right? Because of the colonial system that was inherited by what's called Nigeria, all these people, right, the ministers, the MPs that have you, right, doesn't have something that they call allowances that is given to them for, they don't pay light bill or water bill or electricity bill. They have their own cars. So they have their own chauffeur-driven car.
Hold on a moment there. Hold on a moment. I didn't quite catch that. Remember, I'm an overseas person. So just describe what does that mean? They don't pay.
Right. So I think indeed we bear witness that in most of the African countries, the state that is called Nigeria included, the ministers or rather the president, the vice president, the ministers of state, and also the MPs don't pay no light bill.
Wow.
Don't pay no gas bill.
Oh.
Have cars allotted to them. Have chauffeur-driven cars. Have cook. Have their rent paid for them.
Wow.
Out of the taxpayers' money.
Wow.
Yeah? That money could easily be used to subsidize the farmers in Nigeria because from what I gather, from the tenders that we have, Nigeria alone imports $20 billion worth of food, rice.
Oh my gosh.
But yet Nigeria is blessed with fertile land. From the north to the south to the central to east and west, Nigeria is blessed with abundance of land. So the problem that indeed he's talking about is true to not just Nigeria, but even where I'm in Ghana. Right? And this is why you're having most of our people, not their fault, but the economic conditions and the situation that they find themselves in, wanting to leave Nigeria, made the journey up the Sahel and then up in Morocco, and we all know what happened the other day in Cuba. And indeed, he's very right. The constitution of Nigeria is flawed, just like in Ghana. And the constitution of Ghana is flawed, deeply flawed, right? So this is why in Ghana we're calling for the constitution, and this is why I agree with Didi as well that the constitution of Nigeria, of so-called Nigeria, needs to be changed because it is basically given the president and his people too much power at the expense of the ordinary citizenry of Nigeria.
Can I ask you to pause then? Sorry, Brother Kwame, can I ask you just to pause and thank you for what you've said so far? And if I may just go back to Ndidi, you heard what the learned Brother Kwame has said. Is he correct?
He's very correct. He is spot on. I give him 100%. And I'm the kind of person who doesn't give anybody 100%, but I'd give him 100%.
Go ahead. Wow. I don't see, my earlier question to you both was, I needed to understand the psychology of the people on the land, So you described the rich people. Tell us about those on moderate or low income. What's their psychology? Is it one to accept, or are they feeling that they must resist and cause a revolution of types to seek change? Either one of you can respond. What's the psychology of the ordinary Nigerians? Do they feel oppressed, or do they feel that they can effect change?
Well, I don't know about Nigeria, but in Ghana, the mass of people begin to be educated in terms of that they begin to appreciate and understand that this system of governance that they've bought into, i.e. a Western system of governance, does not reflect their needs, aspirations, and does not provide them with the opportunities that can better their quality of life.
Okay. So this is why. Just to pause there then. It's okay, pause there, because I've got an opinion on Ghana. Ndidi, what's your response to my question?
It's funny, I went to Ghana for about 8 days. That was in 2012. I wanted to see the slave forts, and I loved Accra. It's better. At that time, Ghana was better than Nigeria, and Nigerians flocked to Ghana to live there because it's better. The poor people, I feel great pity. In fact, when I see some young people who are from you can see they're poor because they are house help. they call them house boys, house girls. When I see the things they have to go through, because I stand in a state and when I walk around and the way they are treated, they're not slaves with chains, but they are slaves in every other way. The madame and the big oga get them to do everything. Oh, it's too terrible. And I've heard stories that some of them don't even get paid.
Oh, wow.
And because they're from the village, they're from some backward village. And then you've got somebody else who's in Abuja. Then the madame in Abuja will go to her village and find herself a poor girl who is under 18, may even be under 10. Bring the girl to the city. And the girl's parents are so happy because now they have one less mouth to feed. And they now believe that the city is, wonderful. So this child will come to the city and do all the chores and not get one penny. At Christmas or Easter, the madame and the big oga may give them like a bag of rice or something. But this is a crime in England. It's a crime in England. And, but in Nigeria, this is what they do. So the civil servants and the politicians and the people with money, this is what they do. And that's, so that's where the poor are. So the poor are very downtrodden. They must be depressed like anything. Yes. Because they're not taught, when I went to school, there's one thing called reading. You read in school, then you do comprehension, don't you? These are things we take for granted in elementary school, in primary school, and secondary school. You do an essay and then you do the questions after it. So in this country, I'm not sure that after some people have read anything, they've been taught the comprehension. This is how bad I think things are.
I understand. So, thank you for that response. Thank you. That puts it into some context as to why the current system has persisted. But of course, and I'd say to both of you, NINAS exists, the Nigerian Indigenous Nationalities Alliance for Self-Determination. What progress indeed has NINAS made? And I'll come to you as well in a moment, Brother Kwame, and I'm grateful for your call to give us insight into a similar organization in Ghana. But indeed, first of all, NINAS, progress made, because I've deliberately put it as my backdrop, you would notice, and I see the Shara territory, I see the middle alliance territory, and I see the lower Niger territory being quoted. Just tell us about these different territories that NINAS recognizes, please.
Okay. NINAS.
Thank you.
Yes. It's the indigenous people of the Middle Belt, the Yoruba, which is the West, and the Lower Niger is what we call South, South, and Southeast together. It is a team-working alliance to take down, that means to terminate, to decommission that fraud called 1999 Constitution, and then to get into the process of making constitutions the proper way according to the people's wishes. So the white bit on that map is the NINAS Alliance territory. The yellow bit is the Sharia bit. They've already done what they wanted. What happened was, starting from the year 2000, so that's a year after that fraud constitution was imposed on us, they began to unilaterally take up Sharia. The Union of Nigeria, this was at the Lancaster House talks and the Willings Commission in the 1950s. The big thing was that Nigeria would be a secular state, a secular country, because the people of the Middle Belt are mostly Christians, and they were at that time lumped with the North. And the man called Joseph Tarker said, no, we're Christians, we're not going to accept Sharia, because Sharia, it says, you can't say anything bad about Muhammad and all this kind of stuff. And Christians don't want to live like that, and you get beheaded, you get stoned. And
I understand.
like
so we don't want to accept.
Okay, all right. Okay, yes, I understand. Okay, so that's why. So when that yellow bit took up Sharia, in effect, and by law, you can look at it, they seceded from the union. Now, NINAS doesn't mind because what they did is they used their inalienable right to self-determination to choose Sharia. Fine, they've chosen Sharia, good. Now, the rest of Nigeria that hasn't used their self-determination is the NINAS bit. And that constitution has hijacked, has stolen, has hidden our self-determination and sovereignty. So when we terminate its operation, then we will now use our sovereignty and the agency of self-determination to make choices. The indigenous ethnic nations will democratically vote on what they want. And that's really it.
I'm going to come back to you in a moment because there are a few additional questions I might ask you. But what if I may, for Ghana, is there an equivalent to NINAS in Ghana that's seeking to rewrite its constitution or restructure how that country is managed?
Most definitely. The Fix the Country movement over the last 7-8 years has gone into the hinterlands to educate the masses of people, so the rural people in the communities, the chauffeur driver, the taxi driver, the teachers, the nurses, and have imbibed in them that the current constitution and system of governance that exists in Ghana is not for them. And because now they've begun to understand how that manifests itself in terms of the conditions that we find ourselves in, that we have to now go back again to the IMF. People are now uprising, so there's been massive protestations over the last 18 months in Ghana. And with people calling even for the constitution to be revisited and changed, because as I mentioned to you right now, the constitution gives the president absolute power. Yes. And that is at the expense of the ordinary citizenry of Ghana.
Tell me, if I may, Father Kwame, if I could, that's a really useful, succinct, but very detailed response. Okay. What I'm trying to appreciate, because I've had many Ghanaian contributors to the show, even those in royalty as well, okay, who would actively seek that those of us from the diaspora visit, indeed seek to live in Ghana and to be agent of change for improvement in that country. Unlike Nigeria doesn't do such a thing. Okay, it does appear on the surface that the president, who's now, I understand, introduced a form of national health service into the country, is indeed making real progress in that country to improve its appeal to, particularly myself, those of us of the diaspora and sexual diaspora. It, on the surface, it appears to be progressive, but you say otherwise.
I mean, I can respond to that in many ways, but one potent way I could respond to that is that, I don't know if you listened to Nana Pakambaga show last Sunday. He had a journalist from Ghana on his program.
I didn't.
And the journalist said that there are difficult times in Ghana. The economy has gone backwards. That is contrary to what the president is saying. But also, more importantly, over the last 3 or 4 years has been a severe clampdown on journalists who are reporting things that are not palatable to the common government. So this is something that is happening in Nigeria, but in Ghana we never had this before. But the last 3 or 4 years has seen a rapid deterioration in press freedoms in Ghana. So many journalists have been put in prison because they spoke their mind about what's happening in Ghana. And some journalists are fearful, as the journalist on Nana Pakambaga show said last week, of actually talking the truth, because if they do, then they fear they could be put in prison, or worst case scenario, lose their lives. So to answer the question, it may seem on the surface that this president may be progressive, but the reality is the contrary.
Interesting. And I will, in a few weeks' time, have a Ghanaian diplomat of sorts on the program, and it'd be interesting to probe further to better understand that country. And I suppose the best way to do this, as is always the case, is to actually visit the country, see for yourself. And that's really, if I may, to go back to Ndidi, if I may. You've described a situation, and the Kwame is and someone who I've got the greatest respect for, and I quote him every week because his intervention in my program in vis-a-vis my health section was profound, I found. But come back to you, Ndidi. It's interesting. In the descriptions you painted of Nigeria, which I know to be is harsh fact, okay, where is the roots, where is this sprouts of optimism that we can point to, that there is change is possible, peaceful change is possible, economic change is possible that will benefit the masses. Give us some hope for the future, because you know I'm naturally an optimistic personality. Go ahead, tell us.
Sorry, there isn't any hope.
Oh.
Yeah, unless, there's been a union dispute since the military got rid of Nigeria. You know, what it is this is why I said that if the person cannot reason, they shouldn't talk to me, because the Nigeria that our parents agreed to has ended. This is somebody else's Nigeria. And you cannot force me and other people to accept somebody else's Nigeria, because we're not mad to that level. This is somebody else's Nigeria, and they knew we wouldn't accept it. That's why they foisted it on us. That's why, because the Constitution, even if you first have a draft Constitution, Chile will show us how it's done. You first have a draft Constitution. It is only legitimized by referendum. Yes. So it remains a draft constitution until we, the people, ratify it, legitimize it by referendum. We didn't do that. So that's why I said you need to be able to reason. This is not the Nigeria of the peoples of Nigeria. Why would it, who's going to like it? Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? I have, like, for instance, I would have my opinions and the things I like. Must I force everybody to wear the clothes that I like and then make them? I'm going to force you to wear the clothes I like, and you're going to have to be happy about it. Okay. You know, that kind of thing. But I'm using
Okay, I hear you. I've read a lot about Mr. Obi, okay, and his campaign to become president, okay. And I see you write with some interests about him. Just tell us a little bit about him. What does he represent? Then I'll come back to you, Brother Kwame. What does he represent?
Okay, Peter Obi happens to be a member of my ethnic nation. Mm-hmm. And many people like him. Because I'm a police officer, retired, I have my own orientation. I don't like criminality. Indeed. Somebody else may not mind, yeah? So I will have my personal opinion of him, because he's one of the people named in Panama Papers. So that is enough for anybody to go check it up. So my opinion on him is based on the fact that he is named in Panama Papers. Now, other people may say, oh, he's a wonderful man and he's the same. That's up to them. Now, for me, I have nothing against that man. But what it is that because the Constitution is what my eye is on, he and all the candidates, every single one, not just Peter Obi, they are part of our problem, because those elections will renew the life of the Constitution. The people or the person who wrote that Constitution, because we don't even know who wrote it, they want to renew the life of that Constitution, and that the life of that Constitution is renewed by elections. How is it renewed? It's a forgery. Remember I said it's a forgery, like if you've got a motor vehicle insurance certificate, that's a forgery. So it's make-believe. The life of it, it's illegitimate. The life of it is renewed because when you have elections, the one that is declared winner will swear an oath of office one day to uphold, defend, and govern by that document. And in swearing that oath, they give it life, even though it's a forgery, yeah? So all of them, whether Peter Obi or the others, or some of the ones you may not have heard of, some of the younger ones, they're all, leading the people into this mess.
Yeah.
And the mess is getting worse day by day.
All right, thank you. And thank you for that response and that clarity as well. Again, very clear response. And those of you who've not read the articles, go to the NINAS website. I don't turn this volume down. Go to the NINAS website, and it is NINAS, NINAS, voice, voice.org, ninasvoice.org. Okay. Brother Kwame, can you still hear us okay? Brother Kwame.
Loud and clear.
Excellent, excellent. I'll ask you a very similar question. It just so happens, because I've said that we're likely to have a number of Ghanaian diplomats, and I've been preparing for that interview to ask the direct questions. Okay. So I note that within Ghana, the political parties have been in contention with each other. Okay. And it's principally around corruption. And I note, notwithstanding your earlier contribution, that there is almost a national drive to eliminate corruption in society, starting, of course, with the civil service. Of course. Okay. That should have and create a material difference in people's circumstances, shouldn't it?
Well, let me give you this then, and then you can probably ask one of the diplomats if they will rubbish this, but we have the papers and the facts at our disposal. So in answer to that then, if that was the case then the Auditor General's report of Ghana, that is a yearly audit of government agencies that's commissioned by the government of Ghana themselves, yes, not by any other outside party or any institution, but by the government of Ghana themselves. The Internal Auditor General's report of 2020 highlighted that the equivalent of $2 billion was stolen from the Ghanaian coffers in 2020, has not been accounted for. Wow. Is that a government that is dealing with the issue of corruption?
Now, first of all, I've seen that report, I must say. Curious. It was most curious. And you are right, 2 billion is a lot of money. Don't misunderstand me. Hold on. You are right. But the Ghanaian economy is worth what 1.5, 1.6 trillion dollars. Yeah. Now, so whilst 2 billion is a large amount of money, and you are absolutely right, I've always got to keep it in proportion, because believe it or not, in this country, Britain, more money is lost through corruption. Okay, they simply don't talk about it until you go to places like the Auditor General, the ONS, and so on. You see the level of money which have simply disappeared. European Union, the figures are even bigger. In fact, they can't even reconcile their annual accounts in the European Union. So I'm going to agree with you, first of all, that the 2 billion is a lot of money, but it does seem, on the surface at least, that the strides to reduce the impact of corruption in our Ghanaian society is beginning to yield fruits. But I've got to venture to suggest that 2 billion could have been much larger at an earlier point in time.
Okay, the moderator. So if that's the case, then why is Ghana going back to the IMF?
Okay, now then, I'm not an economist, particularly in this context, but I do understand the challenges that countries who don't have a firm industrial base and rely upon raw materials as their means to maintain economic survival, the struggle they will have in this broader context of hyperinflation, which is now captivating the world. So the weaker economies are least likely to weather the storm that this country, here in Britain, you're in Britain, is now experiencing. And you know that there are tens of millions of people in Britain who are terrified for the winter.
Yeah.
That they would not be able to heat their homes in winter. They could freeze. We, as you know, I'm an elected councillor, and we are thinking about warm houses, where we might have to manage warm houses. Can you imagine? Yeah, the fourth or fifth richest country in the world. We have potentially tens of millions of people who have to be housed in warm houses because they can't afford their electricity or gas bills. So I get it, and I hear what you say. But I've learned I've got to keep these things in the correct proportions. Okay.
Yes. Okay.
So coming back to you, and I'm then need to go back to Ndidi. When I look at Ghana, okay, whilst it has many failings, don't misunderstand me, and the ability for politicians to evade the usual cost of living elements such as gas, electricity, and not have to pay for them is atrocious. That's bad governance. Let me tell you, if you make people like me so comfortable that I'm not suffering or experience the realities of my electorate, that's just simply bad governance. I become separated from people and I no longer understand their needs. That's just bad governance. And you don't need to be a genius to realize that's bad governance and we should stop it. There's no doubt about it. But coming back to you, and I realize that the governing party of the country you're not affiliated to, okay? If you were the president, the prime minister, the president of that country, name for me 3 key changes you'd make that economy in order to create one that provides support for ordinary people and not just those who are rich and powerful.
Pretty simple, really. First thing I'll do, I'll get rid of all the annulments that, and with respect the motivator, I'm not politically motivated with any party, only of the 2 main parties in Ghana. Okay, because as I mentioned, the system of governance that governs the country is not palatable for the majority of our people. But what I'll do, one of 3 things. 1, all the numbers that they get, I'll scrap them, because I think it is criminal that a vice president, a minister, does not pay for their light bill or for their rent.
Agreed. That's money, 1. Okay, that's 1.
That money can be used to go back in the economy and do the second thing that I would do: subsidize our Ghanaian farmers. Because right now, many Ghanaian farmers are not subsidized. They use the Stone Age method of hoe and the axe to plow their worth. If I was president of Ghana, I would subsidize our farmers so that food becomes more accessibly available and particularly more cheaper in Ghana, because it is criminal that a country like Ghana is importing food from all over the place. We import cassava from China. Can you imagine this?
Yeah, crazy.
And then the final thing that I'll do is provide means-tested education for all the people. So right now in Ghana, we have something that we call free senior high school. However, that is flawed because, the tractor driver and the executive businessman children are going to school free. That should not be the case, because the executive businessman can afford to pay for the children's education, but the tractor driver can't. So I'll do it to the sense that it becomes means-tested so that those who are really needy can get free education, and those who can afford it will contribute by paying the school fees, and that will again go back into the economy to invest in the infrastructure of schools in Ghana.
Thank you. Thank you for your succinct and direct response to that question, and thank you. We're going to make a politician out of you soon, don't you worry about the Kwame. But anyway, let me go over to Ndidi. Thank you. Ndidi, if you were president of Nigeria, what 3 changes, succinct please, would you make to Nigeria? 3 changes, please.
Oh, you know what?
Oh, come on. I've read your article. I know you.
No, do you know why? Do you know why I can't?
Come on.
Yeah, no, the reason I can't be president of Nigeria is because I'm not going to swear an oath of office to uphold a forgery. You see what I mean? So that's already, you know what I mean?
Of course. So
I'm not a criminal.
A renewed constitution. Yeah, a new constitution.
I'll say what would be the way forward now for the ethnic nations, because remember I said that Nigeria is, you've got many indigenous ethnic nations.
Yes.
The NINAS plan is the only way, unless we go to war, which I don't want, is that we're having elections next year. They're scheduled for February next year. We have 7 months. We have enough time. We've been saying since December 2020 to halt preparations to those elections, because we as NINAS, we have repudiated that constitution because it's a forgery. You halt preparations to those elections and you go to transitional government, just like South Africa. During the transitional government, everybody remains in place. So Buhari stays there, Osinbajo stays there, governors stay there, local government chairmen stay there, but it's transitional government. So they have less powers because it's a temporary government.
Yes.
So during that time, and it's a time-bound period, they have limited powers. So all that they would be able to do is to pay the salaries of civil servants, make sure that the little few things that are running. And the UN is always involved when there's a transitional government.
Remember, these are 3 changes, yeah?
Okay, all right, And during that transitional government, you have your multi-regional referendums.
Okay.
So the Middle Belt as a block, the ethnic nations there will organize their referendums. It will again be supervised by the UN. The Yoruba block will do theirs and the other block. And the referendum will be, does your ethnic nation want to be in Nigeria, yes or no? The results will be what we the people want, and then we go forward. So that's it. Those are the 3.
One's suspend the constitution. 2
elections.
Elections. 2 form a transitional government, and 3 to hold referendum across those regions identified by NINAS.
Yes.
Brilliant.
Yes.
Well, so now you have it. It's now a matter of public record. Okay. The recordings will circulate across both countries. Okay. Here in the Motivator Show, we are strategic thinkers. Okay. And we want to translate each of these words into action, so that we can create a better, more optimistic, aspirational societies, okay? And both of you are 2 individuals, and Brother Kwame, you know what? I'm going to get you in the studio, because we need to talk about Ghana with greater strength. In fact, and then indeed it can gate crash your interview, okay? Let Ndidi come and gate crash your interview, okay? But because I really wanted to get to some of your articles, Ndidi, because there's some interesting passages in your articles, which I don't have time to do now. I'm going to have to get you back in a few weeks' time. But there's some articles, you've written some really ingenious articles, which I need to flesh out for the audience. Because these articles need to be thought through. They need to be thought through, okay? So there you are. So, but I'm now running out of time, okay? So, I'm going to hold you, just hold there for a moment, Ndidi. I've had Brother Kwame on the line. I did open the line, but I know the audience are listening, okay? I know they're listening. I've questioned so many people on this subject. They want to listen and learn, okay? And I've learned to respect that. So Brother Kwame, last question on Ghana. You live in Britain, okay? You live in Britain, okay? And I know why you're in Britain, and don't worry, I'm not going to question that for you. Okay? But I do want to say and ask you this question, okay? And I know you have a track record in being part of that, a change maker, okay? I want to ask you this question. What level of support do you believe you currently possess, both in your immediate ethnic group and wider society in Ghana, for the changes that you seek and you've outlined today? What level of support do you believe you have?
We have massive support, and okay. Even though I'm here in Britain, I have a wife and children on the ground in Ghana, and I also have contacts with 50 country coalition in Ghana. And so, even yesterday we had the Zoom meeting about our next strategy in terms of where we go forward. But in terms of the support, we have massive support. And this is not a so-called ethnic thing. Okay. 60 countries devoid of any ethnic divisions or priority. And we even have support from the kingship of the country. I think last week there was a Grand Durbar in the Cape Coast area, Fanti region, and some of our conveners of the country went to that Durbar, and they were received very well by the local people and also the kingship in the Cape Coast area, because they are aware of the situation that prevails in the country right now. And they also understand that the conditions that exist cannot prevail. And it's something that they know needs something to change in order for the people, particularly in their area, to enjoy the benefits that the nation's wealth has at its disposal. So, in short, basically, we have support from all sorts of Ghanaian society, with the middle class, lower class, even some of the upper class supporting us via donations. And we have also support from the market women, the traders, the total drivers, the taxi drivers, and we have also support from our kings and queens in the different indigenous groupings in Ghana. So we have broad support.
Thank you.
And just want to correct you something. The Ghana economy is not 1.5 trillion. I believe that is Nigeria's. Our economy, according to the stats that I have at our disposal, is a $60 billion economy.
No, it's the Ghanaian economy is somewhat larger than that. More than 60 billion.
Well, it's not 1.5 trillion. That is Nigeria's, because there's only two African countries that have a GDP of trillions. That is both Nigeria and South Africa. Ghana is nowhere near Nigeria. And if you look at the West African sub-region, ECOWAS, Nigeria is by far the biggest economy in West Africa. Ghana is not even half of Nigeria's economy.
I will come back to you on this. Brother, if I may, I realised once upon a time you were working on a Saturday morning where we hadn't heard from you for some time. Now that I know you are not working, I'm going to get you in, because we're going to go over these stats and we're going to have that dialogue. And Ndidi is also authorised to come in and intervene in our conversation. But
and just to sort of wrap up on this, I do have a column. Even down here, when I was in Ghana, I was a journalist. So I have a column.
I know you are.
From modernghana.com. So if you just Google my name, Kwame Osei, modernghana.com, you will see more than 100 articles I've written about the economy, health, etc., about Ghana.
Thank you. Thank you very much for your call, and thank you for those insights. Invaluable. Thank you again. Thank you again.
Thank you to yourself, and also thank you to Ndidi. And I hope that her aims and objectives that which are noble and commendable happen in Nigeria, because Nigeria is a potential superpower.
Yes.
But we need to come to the conclusion. But as it is, it's not going to work for the ordinary people of that country. Yeah.
Okay, you're so right. Thank you.
All right, thanks for your time.
Thank you very much. Ndidi. Let me ask you, and I know we've got less than 10 minutes now, so you're going to have to be brief in your response. I've asked a moment ago for your words of optimism. Okay, and I hear you. Don't worry, I hear you. It's how can those who are listening, particularly those who are feeling intimidated or afraid, how can they give support to NINAS and to yourself and the current campaign to achieve those three objectives? The suspension of the elections, first of all, the transitional government and the holding of those referendums. How can they give you support? Should they go via the website? Tell us how they can get involved.
Okay, yes. NINAS is a movement. So it's not an organization. So people can remain in their organization. So you may be already in a self-determination organization of your ethnic nation. It's fine, you can stay there. It is the plan of NINAS is what we want people to key into. And how you do it, it's, as I said, it's to halt the elections, go to transitioning where we have those referendums. So it's keep on telling people about it. Keep on telling people this plan is the only plan on the table apart from war.
Right.
It's the only plan on the table. And, you know, and it's we, the people, who will now make a decision. And the people, Nigerians, or the ethnic nations of Nigerians, they also need to realize that those who want Nigeria to be one unit and those who want it to split, that's your personal opinion. At the end of the day, we, the people, will make the decision.
Yes.
So nobody should be, everybody needs to sort of like act adult and say, I cannot impose my desire on everyone else. Let me work for justice. So the justice is the democracy, you know, let people make a decision on the future.
Yes.
And there's the ninasvoice.org. That's the official website. We've also got a Facebook page. The Facebook page has posters. It has a link to the Telegram group that they can join. And it has more day-to-day because the NINAS Voice has the notices and communiques from the Secretariat, while the Facebook page has more general information. Then where my articles are is in our article center, and that one is on Substack. It's called NINAS Movement News. I can't remember the web address, but you know, okay, so that's where the articles are. So, you know, so they have all that. And if they do use Google, they'll come across it. Then of course, you know, you can go to my Twitter handle, and every so often I do put the links.
Can you
But
just give it out again, Didi, your Twitter handle? Do you remember it?
Oh, it's my name. It's at and then Ndidi, no gap, and then my surname, which were UWECHUE. So it's my name, you know, on the Twitter.
Let me just spell your name. That I can do. Ndidi, it's NDIDI, which is UWECHUE. Okay.
That's it.
Didi UHA. Thank you. Thank you. And that's the Twitter. And also the same applies for the Facebook group, your Facebook page, which is Ndidi.UHA, your surname. Okay. I've got it here. And of course, the NINAS Voice. Those of you who are viewing the program via YouTube and Facebook can see the URL. And again, I'll just give that out whilst we're here. It's www.NINAS, NINAS, voice, voice.org, NINAS Voice. Okay, and they can correspond with you either through the website, Facebook, or indeed your Twitter angle, of course, if they need to. This is good. This is good. And Didi, I'm sorry that we didn't quite get to your articles. Okay, but if you are available, we'll do a further 10th program in August. And I really want to get to your article. There is genius in your articles. And I have no idea why you haven't won all of these international prizes. I have no idea. I don't understand the system. But the articles are truly, truly ingenious. And I want to give light to your articles. In fact, the next program, I'll try to focus just on the articles. I won't write anything else. Just your articles, your most recent articles. The Smart African article is one I definitely want to quiz you on, but that's one that I've found to be really a powerful tool for change. Yeah? Anyway, there's much more to be said about that. So Ndidi, I want to thank you for being an outstanding guest as usual, and being able to balance the aims, objectives, the aspirations of Nigeria with the aims, objectives of the people of Ghana. Okay, and you were able to integrate very well with Brother Kwame, and your similarity is profound. It is profound. Your closing word, what would you like to say to us? I've only got maybe 1 minute. What would you like to say to us in closing?
Well, yes, please, go and check out what NINAS is about. On that website, there's a YouTube channel, the YouTube logo icon, click on it. They have a lot of video broadcasts, and the ones that started yesterday, it says it all. Alert series, sometimes extraordinary alert series, but the alert series, and that's the information that will transform the ethnic nations of Africa. And we're concentrating right now of that place called Nigeria. And the people should make a decision of the political union they want to be in.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, Ndidi. Wonderfully said. Thank you. We'll do another show in August, but I really want to focus on your articles, which are not receiving the accolade that they amply deserve. But our next program will focus on your last 10 articles. I've read them all intensely, repeatedly, and they are a wonderful read. I want to say to you on behalf of all Africans, our peoples worldwide, thank you.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Audience, thank you. Sorry about the slightly truncated start to the show today, but nevertheless, it is not the length, but the quality of the content of these shows that matters. And we've had Ndidi, who's provided a true insight into the life and times of the country we call Nigeria. And what she's envisaging is a future Nigeria, one that seeks to represent all the people, not some of the people. And if it is necessary, through referendum, through public decision, that country should be dramatically changed. And it could be that the current federation is fundamentally changed, okay? Then that's the choice of the people. Okay? That is the choice of the people. Nevertheless, for me, that would be lamentable, because great Nigeria is able to overcome the differences, both religious, ethnic differences, that is an integral part of a multi-ethnic continent. The most diverse continent in the world is Mother Africa. Our greatest capacity as human beings is our capacity to overcome adversity, either physical, natural adversity, or indeed human-made adversity. And I know the people of Africa, their capacity is beyond all charts. So it's about belief in self and an aspiration for even a greater future. But until next strong, I say to you, this has been the Motivator Show, where we translate these words into action. And remember, success is ours for the taking. Until next strong, I remain the Motivator. Praise be to you all. Goodbye.
Goodbye. Thank you.
Good job. Thank you. Thank you all. Thank you all.